Now, most people, I'm sure you know people that they get in a rut and they stay there for a very long time. They go in a circle. They blame every external circumstance except for themselves. You guys know someone like that? Put your hands up if you've ever seen that. Right. Happens often, right? Now, the hard part is how do we get unstuck? How do we use our mind to take us to where we want to be in the future? So we had one opportunity to move into this house, and this is the house we moved into. On this screen, you could see that's me. I don't know what I'm doing, trying to be cool with my thumbs up, and all my sisters there hanging out. So around that corner on this screen is my mom. The very first day, she's like, "Kendal, there's your room right there." I was like, wow, I get my own room. I can't believe this. And I was like, well, where's Kendra, Fair, and Mercy gonna sleep? She's like, this other room around the hallway. I was like, okay, well, where are you gonna sleep? I'm gonna sleep right there on that couch, right at the corner of that picture. That's where my mom slept up until I graduated high school. My mom sacrificed for myself, my sisters, so we can have an opportunity to succeed. And that's where we stayed. And for the next 12 years of my life, going from grade 1 to high school, I loved to do this one thing called play sports. Who likes to play sports? Put your hands up if you do. And some of you have children who play sports now. And I have two children now. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. And my children are also getting into sports. So I love sports. At the time, anything I get my hands on, I'd play it. I forced my sister Kendra to come outside and kick the ball back and forth. I have to say, Mom, Kendra won't play with me outside, and she'd get kicked first and come play with me. So that's the kind of stuff that we would do. We played sports all the time. And I went to this place by the time I was in grade 3. My mom took me out of my comfort zone the very first time. It's kind of like you making your first sale for the first time. You're nervous as heck. Some of you are sweating. Some of you are jittery, right? Making that first cold call, right? I've been there. But here was the first time I was in grade 3, taken out of a predominantly First Nation school where everything I knew was comfortable to me, putting into a predominantly white school where middle-class farmers, I had no idea how they walk, talk, and dress, and I was thrown into that school. And the very first day, it was the very first time I ever felt culture shock. I felt nervous, I felt scared. And for the first 2 days, this is all I did. I couldn't say nothing. I studied. I listened. And 2 days later, at recess, kicking the ball back and forth, I jumped into this group of kids that were kicking the ball back and forth, and I started asking them crazy questions like, hey, how are your crops doing, guys? How much rain you get last night? Right? These guys were all farmers. I had no idea what they were talking about, but that's what they talked about. And I was able to adapt and make friends. And by the time I was in grade 5, I had met my best friend. And my best friend was from this place called South Africa. And his name was Johan. And Johan was a kid that changed my life because at 10 years old, Johan asked me one day at recess, my bus just pulls up. Picture this, my bus just pulled up. We're sitting there right beside each other, kicking the ball back and forth, and I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to turn to the bus and go walk on the bus. He's like, Kendal, why aren't you staying after school to play with us? I had to tell Johan that I don't have a ride. We don't have a vehicle. We're living on welfare. There's no jobs back home. There's no economic development. There's nothing like that back home. I don't have $50 to pay this fee. I was so ashamed when I walked away and I jumped on the bus and went home. I thought about it all night. Next day I come to school. Johan says, hey Kendal, good news. I told my parents what you told me, and we want to help you out. Think about the people that you want to help in the future. Think about these people, because this is real right here. This is how one family changed my life. This family, who I didn't even know, started picking me up from my First Nations community, driving me to Cut Knife, paid for my fee to play this sport called soccer with a coach, empowered me. Grade 5, I'm playing. Grade 6, I'm at his house every single weekend, Johan's house, and I found my first role model. My first role model was his dad. Guess what his name was? Johan. So there's two Johans. Johan Jr., Johan Sr. And Johan Sr. became my role model. I was like, man, this guy's a beast. Because every single day he'd wake up, he'd do like a marathon around the lake, and he'd be working out and so on. I'd be laying there in bed just watching him work out. I was like, man, this guy's crazy. And after that, he'd be studying his craft, his gift. And then after that, he'd be making time for his family, and he'd complete that cycle over and over every time I'd see him. He was driven. He knew what he wanted to do, and he was doing it every single day. really had to take a deep look at where I wanted to be with my life in business. Because in business and in life, you go through ups and downs, you hit plateaus and you wonder what's next. And that's what happened to me one day in 2014. I was thinking, what's next for myself? I don't want to just sell t-shirts for the rest of my life. I want to be giving back on a greater impact. So I love this quote by Oprah, do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. I truly believe in this because so many people, they try one thing and they give up right away. And sometimes what they were meant to do in that moment would have introduced what they're meant to do. You get what I'm saying? If I wasn't selling t-shirts, I would not be here today. If I didn't go through all those things as a kid, I would not be here sharing what I know today. So I took an inventory and I started to think of what it is that I wanted to do. And I had this deep desire, and here's the thing. I had something that kept coming back to me at 2 a.m. every single night for weeks upon weeks. If there is something that keeps coming back to you, a project, an idea, something that you really want to accomplish, it keeps coming back again and again and again, you can't get it out of your mind, do something about it. That's coming to you for a reason. And for me, it was doing this, speaking on a bigger level. I started out through high schools, colleges, universities, but I was like, I can do more than that. I can go to bigger events, I can impact, I can do more in business and entrepreneurship and so on. So one day, I was thinking about the people I wanted to do something for. How many of you have a spouse, a husband, a wife, children? Please put your hands up. And how many of you would want to do something special for them? Please put your hands up. To me, that is the most important thing. If I can give back to my family and inspire other people to give back to their families, imagine the ripple effects that can happen. One day I made a decision that I was going to speak. Why? Because it was an obsessive feeling that keep coming back to me. If you do something that's an obsession, there's a really good chance you're going to be successful. If you do something because you just, you're going through the motions, you're trying it out because everyone else is doing it, you can't live someone else's dream. Go to what feels right in that moment. In that moment, Nietzsche gear felt right. As I graduated, speaking felt right. Writing the book felt right. What's next? I'll share with that later after this presentation. So that's what I'm talking about here today. So what did I do? I'm going to show you some steps that you can take here today. So once you make that decision, it's an obsessive feeling. One of the things that I do, and I'll show you because it's so easy. I have this little 3x5 laminated card in my hand. It's exactly what you see up there, except I wrote it with ink and a piece of paper and a Dollarama laminating sheet. Okay? And it shows my 3 goals for 2019. I recommend you doing that for your lifetime goals, your yearly goals, and you can even go all the way down to your monthly goals. So I take this with me. So when I'm pulling up my phone, that pops out, oh yeah, my goals. So now as I'm leading my life, I think about all the things that are being presented to me. Is it going to get me closer to these goals or not? Is that opportunity going to get me closer to these goals or not? If not, I move on. That's how you stay laser focused. And my mom, one day, when I came back home from university, she sat me down and she told me the exact same thing. Kendal, if you don't like the way things are right now, go and change it. Don't come here and tell me why things are bad. Creator put you here for a purpose. Everyone has a purpose. Everyone has a gift. Use it. If you don't nurture that, you're not going to go very far. But if you nurture your gift, you're going to go far, but you have to work at it. You can't quit. So I got up and did it. So ladies and gentlemen, my last words of advice for everyone in this room. However, everything that's happened in your life, all the things, the trials, the tribulations, all the problems and obstacles are doing one thing for you. Those are opportunities in disguise. And if you look at them that way, you too can find success by developing that driven mindset and keep moving forward. Thank you guys so much. Have an amazing day.
After hearing Kendal's presentation, I felt truly inspired to see somebody come from poverty to succeed the way he is, and how driven he was. He was definitely a motivation for me and made me believe anything is possible. I highly recommend him.
It was really great to hear Kendal speak. His story was extremely relatable. And doesn't matter what industry you're a part of or what your aspirations are, where your motivations lie. It was really great to hear somebody take a very grounded, down-to-earth story and make it relatable across industries, across professions, across any lifestyle or person. It was incredible to hear how somebody has gone from one place in their life and used all of that experience to develop the motivation and the passion to succeed on a plethora of levels. And I really look forward to being able to share some of his talks with the people in my network so that they can be as inspired as I feel right now.